you're able, for the reading of the Gospel. Today's Gospel lesson is from Luke 18, verses 1 through 8. Jesus tells the disciples a parable about prayer. And Jesus told them a parable to the effect that they ought always to pray and not lose heart. He said, "In a certain city there was a judge who neither feared God nor respected people. And there was a widow in that city who kept coming to the judge and saying, 'Vindicate me against my adversary.' For a while the judge refused, but afterward thought, 'Though I neither fear God nor respect people, yet because this widow bothers me, I will vindicate her, or she will wear me out by her continued coming.' And the sovereign said, 'Hear what the unrighteous judge says. And will not God vindicate the elect who cry to God day and night? Will God delay long over them? I tell you, God will vindicate them speedily. Nevertheless, when the human one comes, will the human one find faith on earth?' May God add understanding to this reading of the Gospel."
Would you join me in singing the Gloria?
Glory be to the Maker, and to the Christ, and to the Holy Ghost, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen.
Please be seated. God, I ask that you anoint my heart and anoint my lips. Let the words I speak be your words and not just mine. And anoint those who would hear a message, that whatever message you have for them today is the message that they hear. In all of these things I ask in your name. Amen. Sometimes being a pastor, you feel kind of like that judge. You'll get a member who comes in and just wears you down till you say, "Okay, Lord, whatever they want, they got it." Thank God. That brings some calmness and assurance. And will not God vindicate the elect who cry to God day and night? Will God delay long over them? I tell you, God will vindicate them speedily. Nevertheless, when the human one comes, will the human one find faith on earth? The main takeaway from the gospel lesson today is not really the character of the judge. This judge was not of Jewish descent. He was a hired magistrate. The only way to receive justice or vindication from this man was to have the funds to purchase it or to have the services that he wanted and needed. The character of the widow is what I find important. She presented herself to a man that had no reason to vindicate her in the eyes of her adversary. She knew without a doubt that she was worthy of the pure love and total vindication from our God. Therefore, she felt that if she persisted just enough with this man, even this self-centered, egotistical man would finally offer vindication. And the gospel says that the vindication will be granted speedily. Yet the gospel also asks, will not God delay that vindication? It's kind of a mixed message in there a little bit. To many of us, it may feel like eternity that we must wait for the full vindication from our God. But in reality, it is what we do while we wait for the vindication and full acceptance of love from our God. We persist. We persist in the service of God. We persist in the service of God's people. We persist in the service of God's creation. And we persist in the belief of the values of ourselves. Today we have perfect examples of people waiting to receive total and full vindication and love from our fellow members of society. We wait for a special council report to come, and then we stand before the cameras and we scream, "No corruption, no collusion, I am totally vindicated." Or sit and pass judgment on others for the very need of our own vindication. We have a tendency to lose sight of the fact that our persistence is for the vindication of our God, not people. The validation of our society is not important. It may seem comforting and make us feel whole, but it is not permanent. What we as Christians are seeking is the everlasting vindication from our God. The everlasting love of a God that created us in the image of God's self. That will be our ticket to life everlasting. It will not in the end matter at all what the judge or society may have to say about each of us. It is the power of the resurrected Christ that we can allow to blossom forth from us when we have received the vindication of our God. Judges and societies may put us away in prisons and lock us up, but programs like the Innocent Project will help show the vindication of our God, will help free the people who are enslaved, locked away. But how do we accomplish this? We need to look no further than the reading from 2 Timothy this morning. I charge you in the presence of God and of Christ Jesus, who is to judge the living and the dead, and by the appearing the reign of Christ. Preach the word. Be urgent in season and out of season. Convince, rebuke, and exhort. Be unfailing in patience and in teaching. For the time is coming when people will not endure sound teaching, but have itching ears. They will accumulate for themselves teachers to suit their own likings, and will turn away from listening to the truth and wander into the myths. As for you, always be steady. Endure suffering. Do the work of the evangelist. And fulfill your ministry. To sum up the teaching of Paul to Timothy is actually very simple. Persist. 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 In all that you do, persist. And then my vindication shall be upon you. Amen.